Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, the award-winning gardening podcast as voted for by the Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and by my listeners. I hope that you have all clicked that subscribe button. If you're new to the podcast channel, please do click the subscribe button and then you get notified of all the new podcasts that get launched. And if you're not following me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok, make sure you look for Gardening with Ben and follow me on all my social medias. So sit back, relax, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's gardening podcast with Ben. Hello and welcome back to Gardening with Ben for a brand new podcast today. I hope you're all well. Well, we've recorded this in advance ready for you for today, as the day what I'm recording this on was absolutely chucking it down, so I thought I'll record a few podcasts and then you've got something to listen to this week. And yeah, we have been busy at the allotment the other day, which we mentioned about in yesterday's podcast, and what we're getting up to in hopefully the next few weeks down there in getting it all ready and prepared for the year to come. Because this year I do want a good crop of fruit from a plot. I want a good crop of vegetables and I want some really nice flowers growing down there this year. We'll talk about what we want to grow this year in an upcoming episode and some of the new things what I might try this year down at the allotment. So stay tuned for that episode coming up. So what are we talking about today? Well, today we're going to be talking about looking after the wildlife in your allotment, and the subject we're going to be talking about is looking after the birds, because last year mainly, I started looking after the birds in my allotment. I purchased some bird feeders and I started feeding the birds, getting all different types of bird seed for the allotment. Not knowing what sort of variety to purchase, I just looked at the packets and it said this is for such and such a bird, this is for such and such a bird. So I went out and purchased some for the birds, and they absolutely loved it. They devoured it, and yes, it can attract mice and rats to the allotment, and the squirrels can also help themselves. But it did attract a lot of birds to the allotment, and I do love seeing different varieties of birds at the allotment, especially blue tits. I do love to see the blue tits and the robins down there, and hopefully get plenty of different other varieties down on the plot as well. So we're going to be working towards trying to hopefully encourage more and more varieties of birds to my allotment. And one of the reasons why I do like to attract the birds to my plot is because I hang the bird feeders up in my fruit trees, and fruit trees can be a common ground for lots of hibernating caterpillars, moths, ants, insects, all different varieties hiding in between the branches and stuff like that, and attracting the birds onto the trees will help them eat them and hopefully keep away all the pests that are affecting the fruit trees and what can cause problems. So the more you can get the birds into the fruit trees, the better, really. And last year I went out and purchased some bird boxes. I thought I'll give it a try, seeing if we can get some birds nested on the plot. And I didn't know what bird houses to purchase whatsoever, so I just went online on Amazon and purchased some ones at a reasonable price. And yeah, I put them up. And I didn't really look on instructions on what you should do and where you should put them, to be honest. I just put a couple on the side of my shed near where my bird feeders were, and literally within a couple of hours of putting that birdhouse up, blue tits were going in and out of them, inspecting them. And I thought, wow, this can't be true. I literally have put this birdhouse up and they're literally moving in, looking at them straight away and having a look around. And I thought, wow, this is fantastic. And then within a couple of days, they were going in and out, making all the nests, creating all the little homes for themselves. And I thought, blimey, this is fantastic. This, not knowing anything about blue tits and everything, and like my family have had bird houses and they've never had any blue tits in them and stuff like that. And I thought, I'm doing all right here. And after a few months, I got some babies in there. I could hear them squawking, and I was like, oh, fantastic. Unfortunately, I couldn't see in. I didn't want to disturb them. I didn't want to open it up because they could, the parents could leave them and they could then die and fade away, and they could abandon them. And I thought, no, I'm going to leave them. I'm going to leave them as they are. So I left them and I watched them fledge, and it was absolutely amazing to watch blue tits down on my allotment move into this home and encourage the different birds onto the plot. I often have a robin come watching me while I'm doing my gardening, and I dig up all the worms and I throw them to the robin and everything like that. I've not had one land on my hand yet. That is one thing that I do want to try and do, because they are pretty tame robins, and you often see pictures of people feeding robins from the hand. But we'll see about that. We'll see if we manage to do it one day. But yeah, I've got these bird houses, and obviously now is the time to start cleaning out them bird houses from last year, especially if they've got nests in them. You do need to get them all cleaned out, because you won't get any blue tits moving in while there looks like there's a chance that something's already nested there. So we've got that job to do. We've got to take them down, which I'm not looking forward to, because I'm wondering if there'll be any spiders hiding in them and stuff like that. But we'll take them down, unscrew them, and empty the nests out and give them a good clean out with disinfectant, and to stop any diseases what have been lurking around in there and stuff like that. So we're going to give them a good clean out and put them back up. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can get some more blue tits down at the allotment again this year, because that would be great. Because just sitting there watching them most of the time flying in and out of the nest, they're so fast at flying in and out, it's unbelievable. And it's funny because, like, I used to have a bird house as a kid, and it used to have a little stand outside the hole, but now they're saying that you shouldn't do that. So these ones haven't got stands on them for the birds to stand on. They just fly in and out like they do, and easy as all. Obviously the hole needs to be at the right size, but yeah, I'm really happy with the bird houses that I've got, and hopefully we can get some more footage again this year down at the plot, because I'm certainly seeing a lot of blue tits flying around on my allotment site, and it's amazing to see. I'm hoping that we can get some different varieties of birds down there. I don't know how you go about getting them to nest in bird boxes or stuff like that, different varieties of birds, or whether they do actually nest in bird boxes. It's something that I do need to look up and see about doing. But we are going to try and get different varieties of insects and bugs down there this year. So we'll be talking about that in future episodes of what we're going to try and do this year, because the more insects and birds and butterflies we get down to the allotment, it all helps with pollination and stuff like that. The more butterflies, they spread the pollination between the plants, and they're amazing to see as well. So I won't talk too much about that, because we'll talk about that in another episode. But I am wanting to get some different stuff down there, and it's just amazing. I could just spend all day literally down at the allotment watching different wildlife down there. If you've got plenty of different wildlife on your plot, let me know. Let me know what you do to encourage the wildlife onto your plot, and what you do to attract the birds. If you've got any tips and advice as well, it's always good to hear from everybody. Obviously it's expensive doing the bird feeders, but I only tend to do them in the winter time. I don't tend to do them in the summertime, because there's plenty around for them to eat, like all the fruit and the raspberries and the blackberries and stuff like that. I don't tend to fill the bird feeders up in summertime, as it can be an expensive job, because they soon do go down, these bird feeders. It's amazing how fast they do actually go down. But we'll see how we get on, and hopefully we can attract lots of varieties, and hopefully I can get some pictures. I managed to get a picture of a blue tit yesterday on the plot. It doesn't look quite old, to be honest. It looked quite youngish, but I don't know when the nesting season actually starts, so we do need to get on cracking with clearing out these bird houses ready for the year to come. So yeah, we have been busy, and obviously, like I say, I've been putting plenty of YouTube videos on my new YouTube channel. So if you've not found my YouTube channel, it's called Gardening with Ben. It's not a new channel actually, it's been there for a few years, but we are going to be putting lots of videos on this year. I'm really going to start trying getting it up and running and sharing lots of content with you. That's the plan for this year. Obviously I do these podcasts and I do my Facebook and Instagram posts, but I want to get my videos up and running because a lot of people do like to see what's happening and actually see somebody speaking rather than just listening as well. So I'm hoping to get that up and running and get that sorted this year. So if you've not followed my YouTube channel, go and find it, Gardening with Ben, and click that subscribe button, and then you'll get notified of when new YouTube channels come up. And yeah, thank you for listening to these podcasts. I know I've received a lot of messages from people saying how much they're glad that they're back again. I do tend to waffle on sometimes, but I try to make them about 10 minutes long and make them interesting, and hopefully people learn something from it and take something away from it. So I hope that those that are listening today, you think about putting some bird feeders up in the allotment or in the garden and watching what gets involved, and put up a birdhouse as well and see if you can get a blue tit living in your garden this year to watch when it fledges and everything like that. So thanks for listening to today's podcast. Until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcasts. Thank you for listening to today's Gardening with Ben's podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do click that subscribe button and feel free to share it as well on your Instagram stories. All you have to do if you're listening on Spotify is click the share button and you can share it straight to your Instagram story for all your followers to listen to and help build my listeners up as well and get more people listening to it. Feel free to check out all my social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. Go check it out. Check out my dancing. Gardening with Ben. And check out the link as well in the description of this podcast where you can check out my gardening t-shirt shop where I sell funny t-shirts with all different funny logos and designs on. And feel free to support me by purchasing one, and all the money obviously goes back into my allotment where I can share more gardening tips with you all. So until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcast.